Mr. Toastmaster of the Day, Mr. President, members and guests, good evening. Maybe you know this girl. Her name is Emma Watson. And if you don't remember her, maybe you remember her. Sorry, there is. In this picture, she was a child and she was Hermione Granger in the Harry Potter saga. A young, beautiful girl with red hair, magician. But now she is this young girl, this young woman. And in 2014, in July 2014, she was nominated Goodwill Ambassador by the United Nations. The Goodwill Ambassador are some people who are ambassador about the gender equality in the world. And on 20 September of the same year, in 2014, she gave a speech in front of the United Nations presenting the campaign He for She. And this evening I want to share with you her speech. This picture was taken during her speech in the United Nations. Today we are launching a campaign called He for She. I am reaching out to you because I need your help. We want to end gender inequality, and to do that, we need everyone to be involved. This is the first campaign of its kind at the United Nations. We want to try and galvanize as many men and boys as possible to be advocates for gender equality. And we don't just want to talk about it, but make sure it is tangible. I was appointed 6 months ago, and the more I have spoken about feminism, the more I have realized that fighting for women's rights has too often become synonymous with man-hating. If there is one thing I know for certain, it is that this has to stop. For the record, feminism by definition is the belief that men and women should have equal rights and opportunities. It is the theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes. I started questioning gender-based assumption when, at 8, I was confused at being called bossy, because I wanted to direct the plays we would put on for our parents. But the boys were not. When at 14, I started being sexualized by certain elements of the press. When at 15, my girlfriends started dropping out of the sports teams because they didn't want to appear masculine. When at 18, my male friends were unable to express their feelings. I decided I was a feminist, and this seems uncomplicated to me. But my recent research has shown me that feminism has become an unpopular word. Apparently, I am among the ranks of women whose expressions are seen as too strong, too aggressive, isolating, anti-man, and unattractive. Why is the word such an uncomfortable one? I am from Britain, and think it is right that as a woman, I am paid the same as my male counterpart. I think it is right that I should be able to make decisions about my own body. I think it is right that women be involved on my behalf in the policies and decision-making of my country. I think it is right that socially I am afforded the same respect as men. But sadly, I can say that there is no one country in the world where all women can expect to receive these rights. No one country in the world can yet say they have achieved gender equality. These rights I consider to be human rights, but I am one of the lucky ones. My life is a sheer privilege because my parents didn't love me less because I was born a daughter. My school did not limit me because I was a girl. My mentors didn't assume I would go less far because I might give birth to a child one day. These influencers were the gender equality ambassador that made me who I am today. They may not know it, but they are the inadvertent feminists who are changing the world today. And we need more of those. And if you still hate the word, it is not the word that is important, but the idea and the ambition behind it. Because not all women have been afforded the same rights that I have. In fact, statistically, very few have been. In 1995, Hillary Clinton made a famous speech in Beijing about women's rights. Sadly, many of the things she wanted to change are still a reality today. But what stood out for me the most was that only 30% of her audience were male. How can we affect change in the world when only half of it is invited or feel welcome to participate in the conversation? Men, I would like to take this opportunity to extend your formal invitation. Gender equality is your issue too. Because to date, I've seen my father's role as a parent being valued less by society despite my needing his presence as a child as much as my mother's. I've seen young men suffering from mental illness, unable to ask for help for fear it would make them look less macho. In fact, in the United Kingdom, suicide is the biggest killer of men between 20 to 49 years of age, eclipsing road accident, cancer, and coronary heart disease. I've seen men made fragile and insecure by a distorted sense of what constitutes male success. Men don't have the benefits of equality either. We don't often talk about men being prisoned by gender stereotypes, but I can see that they are, and that when they are free, things will change for women as a natural consequence. If men don't have to be aggressive in order to be accepted, women won't feel compelled to be submissive. If men don't have to control, women won't have to be controlled. Both men and women should feel free to be sensitive. Both men and women should feel free to be strong. It is time that we all perceive gender on a spectrum, not as two opposite sets of ideals. If we stop defining each other by what we are not, and start defining ourselves by what we are, we can all be freer, and this is what he for she is about. It's about freedom. I want men to take up this mantle, so their daughters, sister, and mother can be free from prejudice, but also so that their sons have permission to be vulnerable and human too. Reclaim those parts of themselves they abandon, and in doing so, be a more true and complete version of themselves. You might be thinking, who is this Harry Potter girl? and what she's doing up on stage at the United Nations? It's a good question, and trust me, I have been asking myself the same thing. I don't know if I'm qualified to be here. All I know is that I care about this problem, and I want to make it better. And having seen what I've seen, and given the chance, I feel it is my duty to say something. English statements, Edmund Burke say, all that is needed for the forces of evil to triumph is for enough good men and women to do nothing. In my nervousness for this speech, and in my moments of doubt, I've told myself firmly, if not me, who? If not now, when? If you have similar doubts when opportunities are presented to you, I hope those words might be helpful. Because the reality is that if we do nothing, it will take 75 years, or for me to be nearly 100, before women can expect to be paid the same as men for the same work. 15,500,000 girls will be married in the next 16 years as children. And at current rates, it won't be until 2086 before all rural African girls will be able to receive a secondary education. If you believe in equality, you might be one of those inadvertent feminists I spoke of earlier. And for this, I applaud you. We are struggling for a uniting word, but the good news is we have a uniting movement. It is called He for She. I am inviting you to step forward, to be seen to speak up, to be the He for She, and to ask yourself, if not me, who? If not now, when? Thank you.